of Jesus. Right? And I want you to imagine that you're traveling with him into Jerusalem, and then you're going back to Bethany where you're staying, and along this route, your rabbi gets hungry. And he's like, I'm going to go look at that fig tree over there. And you go and you look at this fig tree, and it is big, and it looks strong, and it looks healthy. And it's got leaves sprouting, and it's lush and flush. But it doesn't have fruit. Now, some might say this is because it's out of season. Others might say it is because it's so young, and it hasn't had time to mature and create fruit. So we're going to answer the question, what happens when our hungry rabbi meets this barren fruit tree? Do you have this image in your mind of this fig tree? Okay. So this fig tree, and fig trees can get quite large, somewhere between sometimes 70 to 100 feet even. Now, some places will trim them down and keep them a little bit lower to the ground, makes it easier to get the fruit off. I'll also share with you it's technically not fruit. So what you see on the screen there that looks like fig fruit is not really fruit. It is actually a flower that's grown towards the inside, and its seeds and everything else, it's kind of a miraculous way it creates it. It's really not fruit, it's a flower. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So what happens when our hungry rabbi meets a fruitless fig tree? So I'm going to start with what it tells us in Mark chapter 11, verses 12 through 13. It says, on the following day, when they came from Bethany, he was hungry, speaking of Jesus. Seeing in the distance a fig tree and leaf, he went to see whether perhaps he could find anything on it. Well, what happens? What happens when he finds nothing on it? Think about this. You're a disciple. You've seen him raise the dead. You've seen him multiply loaves and fishes. You've seen him do all this stuff. Turn water into wine. But what happens to the fig tree? Spoiler alert, he curses it. And it doesn't survive. It withers away to the roots. Think about this for a moment. So the fig tree becomes a kind of ill-fated star in our lesson here today. I didn't say the story had a happy ending, at least for the fig tree. Right? But why would he do that? It left me wondering. I was like, why curse a fig tree? You've done all this miraculous stuff. Why curse it rather than just go, let there be fruit? Let there be food to eat. Why that? So it says that when he came to it, he found nothing but leaves, for it was not the season for figs. I'm kind of wondering that not the season for figs, if that's like an after addition to the biblical story to give you a reason why it wasn't fruiting. But he said to it, may no one ever eat fruit from you again, and his disciples heard it. Now here's the thing. Jesus cursing a fig tree might feel like small potato side quest when it comes to all the other stuff that he did, right? You might look at this verse and be like, okay, he cursed a fig tree. What?
He was upset. He was a human being.
He was upset. We might even come up with a reason. Was he hangry? Was he hangry in this moment, right? Was he so hungry that he just took out his frustration on the fig tree? That might be a thought for us, right? But the fact that he curses it tells us that there's a spiritual lesson here. And I'm going to share with you a little bit more about that because Mark elaborates on this story a little bit later. It says, in the morning, as they passed by, talking about the disciples, they saw the fig tree withered away to its roots. And then Peter remembered, and he said, Rabbi, look, the fig tree that you cursed is withered. It's withered away. And Jesus gives them an interesting answer to this. He says, have faith in God. Truly, I tell you, if you say to this mountain, be taken up and thrown into the sea, and if you do not doubt in your heart, but believe that what you say will come to pass, it will be done for you. This is a lesson about faith, right? This is a lesson about faith. So where am I getting the idea of release? Let's talk about that for a moment. Because cursing the fig tree is a powerful lesson in release. I'm going to walk you through this idea here metaphysically. So the story of Jesus, when cursing the fig tree, when this comes up, you might see ministers and theologians and even scholars say, well, maybe it was a warning of judgment against the nation of Israel for their lack of faith in this time. Possible. But I'm going to invite you to think about another way we can view this. That the fig tree has a lesson about our power of release that we can use here today. I want you to think about this. On the surface, you still got that picture of the fig tree in your mind. It looked green and lush and big and beautiful. It was in leaf, right? But it reveals something about letting go because it wasn't fruitful. What else sometimes isn't fruitful? Sometimes our thoughts aren't fruitful. We can look at the unfruitful fig tree as a metaphor, as a metaphysical understanding of our conscious mind of holding thoughts of lack and limitation. So when we look at this, normally a fig tree means prosperity. But it wasn't fruitful, so that means it wasn't prosperous. So we're looking at the opposite of what that means, right? Which means it was lack and limitation. So are we holding thoughts of lack and limitation? We can also look at the character of Peter, who recognizes, he remembers, hey, you cursed that fig tree. What does Peter represent? Our faculty of faith. So think about this for a moment, because our faculty of faith is coming into awareness that we have thoughts of lack and limitation, and whoa, we can curse them and let them wither away. Holy cow! That is an insight. We can get rid of our thoughts of lack and limitation. Now the rabbi here, Jesus is spoken of as the rabbi, not as Messiah, not as Christ. Here he is teacher. That's how he's referred to. So we can think of this as kind of guiding or teaching spiritual thoughts that are leading us back to our faith, leading us back to a good spiritual direction, a good spiritual understanding, in alignment with spiritual truth. So think about this for a moment, because cursing this unfruitful fig tree is a lesson. It's a lesson in our ability to let go. It's a lesson for our conscious mind to say, hey, I don't have to keep things growing if they're not fruitful. Whatever thoughts you are having in your mind that aren't fruitful, you can let it go. You can let it go. We can learn to weed them out. We can learn to curse them. However you want to imagine that, you can learn about getting rid of those unfruitful fig trees. Now, I'm going to share with you a quote from Charles Fillmore, because he understood this. He understood this as a very, I think, intellectual level. He says, to remedy any state of limited finances or ill health that has been brought about by worry, one must begin by eliminating the worry that is the original cause. So what's happening here? If you are saying in faith, God provides all, I am sustained, in consciousness, I believe I am sustained, and yet I'm holding fear, I'm not enough, I don't have enough, there's not enough money, there's not enough time, there's not enough energy, fill in the blanks, there's not enough love in my relationships. Have I struck a nerve yet? We all have that inside, that little ego part of us that says, oh, nope, there's not enough. There's only 8 pieces of this pie, and somebody just ate one, so that leaves 7, which means now there's not enough. Right? It's not that generosity, God will provide all. So it's from a fear perspective, right? We're thinking with fear. We're thinking that there's not enough. And if we have that in mind at the same time we're trying to build our faith, what's going to happen? These two things are going to clash. Do you think you're going to get what you're praying about, what you're putting out there, if you're holding fear? Probably not to the degree you think you are, right? You might get something, but it's probably not what you're really wishing for. So I want to ask you, how many of you resonate with this? How many of you have held on to thought patterns that appeared healthy and productive only to find out that they were unfruitful? I'm going to ask you another question. This one's a little bit deeper. How many of you have already learned that some of your thought patterns aren't unfruitful, but out of habit, you hold them anyways? Because this happens, right? It's not a one and done. This is a continuous process. Now, Jesus, we can think of him as a kind of master way shower. He recognized that, and he was like, okay, it's unfruitful. We're letting it go. But for us, we're still a little bit less in that as refined spiritual understanding sometimes, right? And so our humanness takes over, and that fear takes over, and we say, uh-oh, it's going to come back up for me. I thought I dealt with this 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I thought I already dealt with this lack consciousness, and yet you're in a habit of it, and so it's coming back up. It's coming back up for you. So the invitation today is, can you, like Jesus, curse the unfruitful fig trees in your mind? Can you do that? So I told you this was coming. We're going to let it all go, right? I want you to know the power of elimination. I want you to know the power of release. So we're going to take a moment to go into meditation, and we're going to let it all go. We're going to practice what we're talking about here today. So I'm going to invite you into a quiet moment here. Start to relax. As you're breathing in, breathe in the presence of God. And as you're breathing out, release any tension, thoughts, or negativity that are in your mind right now. Anything that feels limiting. As you relax your body, maybe you start with your head and your neck and just start to loosen up those muscles a little bit. Maybe you relax your shoulders, allow them to fall away a little bit from your ears. Rest your arms at your side or in your lap. And just breathe into this moment. Know that this is the presence of God right here, right now. That there is no need to harbor negative thoughts, fears of lack or limitation. But also know that this is a journey. It's a journey of faith, and it's a journey of patience. And sometimes we have to have patience with ourselves when something comes back up for us that we thought we already cursed and we thought it already withered away. So I want you to visualize you're in a lush garden area and that there's a stream running through it. You are in the presence of God's sustaining vitality, source, and substance. If you want to picture it as the Garden of Eden, you can. If you want to picture it as your favorite botanical garden, your favorite place you've ever seen that looks lush, that looks sustaining, that looks bountiful, I invite you to do that. I invite you in this lush garden that is filled with every variety of fruit to think of your favorite fruit. And I invite you to go over to that plant, be it a bush or a tree, and see it bountifully filled with beautiful, beautiful fruit. Maybe for some of you, that's apples. If it's grapes for others of you, maybe it's a full vineyard. Right? Whatever that is for you. Maybe it's an orange tree. We're natives of Florida. A lot of us like oranges and tangerines. What does that look like for you? And I want you to come into awareness that in this moment, in your consciousness, anything is possible. God sustains all. If it is everywhere present, it is in us. It is in every situation, every circumstance, this energy, this vitality, this life. You might call it universe, you might call it source, you might call it spirit. Whatever name you give to that presence, I invite you to know that in your mind. And then very gently, I invite you to wander over to the side of the stream. It's a nice little stream, gently flowing, lots of ripples. We love that proverb, knowing that the water that you see there right now is the water of yesterday. It's never the same when you step into a flowing river. So I invite you, if you feel comfortable in your meditation here today, to just take a step into that river. To know that each moment is new. That there's no need to hold on to things that are not fruitful. Whatever thoughts, whatever fear, whatever negativity you're holding on to, know as you stand in that infinite stream, the life-sustaining water, that there's no need to hold on to what you no longer find useful. What is that like for you? I invite you to think of one area of your life where you want to start letting things go. It's one area where you feel bound by lack or limitation and fear, and you want to start to let it go. Along the free-flowing waters of this stream, I release my fear. I release lack and limitation in this area of my life. Maybe I imagine putting that fear in the stream and allowing it to float away. But I'm going to let it go. I'm going to start to acknowledge it. I'm going to start to recognize that this is an area where I can practice the power of release, the power of elimination, to let it go. And when I do, it bolsters my faith. Just as we see infinite abundance around us in this garden, just as we know there's an infinite supply of this life-sustaining water flowing through the river we are standing in, we know that source and substance the energy, the essence of God, whether we call it spirit or universe or presence or power, is always with us. It is always with us. And we recognize this more when we open to release. So now that you've had a chance to see your favorite fruit here today and get your toes wet in the river of your mind, I invite you to start to bring some gentle awareness back to your body temple here today. Maybe you wiggle fingers or toes, right? Maybe you start by just rolling your shoulders one direction and then back the other. Maybe you stretch your neck a little. And when you're ready, I invite you to bring your mind and your vision back to this space. Did you let go of something? Did you start to? Yeah. And it's a powerful, powerful practice. So today we're talking about how prosperity is an inside job. So I'm going to elaborate on this a little bit more because this is setting the stage for our series this month. So I'm going to hand it over to Bill Warner next Sunday, and he's going to talk about how we can envision and kind of bring about what we're looking to bring about. So today I want to set the stage that this is a consciousness part of what we're doing, that it's not about the outside, right? Prosperity is an inside job. It happens within. It begins with the mindset we're holding. Are we holding a mindset in faith and prosperity? Or are we holding a mindset of fear and lack and limitation? It's a question. Now, for many of us, we're going to be able to say, I'm holding both. I talk about the both and, how we're human and divine, how we have this spark of the divine God presence within us. At the same time, we're human, just as Jesus was human. And he was a way shower for not just what he could do, what the potential is for all of us to do, right? But for many of us, this is going to be holding both. So, hey, in these areas of my life, I feel very prosperous. I have faith. And then in these areas of my life, not so much. I struggle with this. I've talked about this. Some of this stuff goes way back to childhood, right? I was raised by a single mom in a trailer park, and when we moved out to the beach, we still had a trailer, and almost every day, I had every indication I'm poor. I'm poor. I live in poverty. I don't have much. I had every indication from my childhood growing up that that was the case. So I'm still working on this 10 years after finding unity, because I still have moments where this happens. I've talked about my experience at Publix where I came out and there's the boosters there and they're like, hey, ask this lady, she's rich, she'll donate. And first thing in my mind was, I'm not rich. What the heck did I just say? Because that's the consciousness I'm truly living from, right? So I have to kind of root it out, one unfruitful fig tree at a time, right? You have to start rooting this out. Where are those areas where you feel things are unfruitful? Where you're living in lack and limitation? Most of us think prosperity is an outside job, at least from what we were raised to believe. That we're going to pray to a God up in the sky or out there somewhere, and if he deems us worthy, he will bless us and multiply what we have. And so we might think of it as, oh, well, my finances, I'm getting it from the outside, and gifts, I'm getting them from the outside, and it's an outside job. But it's not really. It's an inside job. Because the truth of it, that Jesus understood is that God isn't somewhere out there. God is everywhere present. If you ever read the story of Jonah and the whale, there's questions that Jonah asks about where can I go where God is not? Like he's like trying to run away from God's presence and there's no place to run that's not in God's presence, right? Where can we go that God is not? Nowhere. There is not a spot where God is not. Right? As we used to teach our kids in the YOU ministry. So I want you to think about this because this is an invitation, especially this month, to practice particularly, well, all the principles really, but also principle 3 and principle 5 is what I'm focused on here today, because principle 3 says human beings create their experiences by the activity of their thinking. Today we talk about thought and feeling. Because guess what? If you have a thought and you're holding an opposing feeling for that thought, you're not going to manifest. So if I hold a thought and I hold an aligned feeling, those things come together and I manifest. So thoughts and feelings bring about our experiences. And if you don't believe this is true, I want you to think of a situation or a circumstance that you have gone into that's been challenging, where you were joyful, where you felt like, hey, I'm loved, I'm worthy, and the kind of experience you had versus another experience where you went into it thinking, I don't have enough, I'm unloved, I don't know that I can get through this. Those are two different entirely experiences, right? Because it can be the same thing that happens. It could be a loved one that gets sick. And yet if you are approaching it with joy and love and generosity and patience and kindness, you get a whole different experience even in the midst of human illness than you would if you were saying, oh, well, I don't know if I can help them with this. I don't know if I can get through. I don't know if we have enough love to go around. I don't know if we have the right support system. That's a whole different experience. So it's an invitation for principle 3. But it's also an invitation for principle 5, which is living the truth we know. Right? So I'm going to share just a little bit more with you on this. I want to share a quote by Reverend Eric Butterworth, because I love his way of seeing this. Eric Butterworth says, prosperity is not having things. This tells us it's not an outside job. It's not about the things. It is the consciousness that attracts the things. Prosperity is a way of living and thinking and not just having money or things. You can be rich in every aspect of your life and poor in consciousness, and you are a poor man. You can be what you consider to be less than prosperous in every area of your life, but have a consciousness of prosperity and be a rich man. It depends on what we're holding in our minds. So I'm going to invite you to share in an affirmation with me here. I'm going to say it once and then I invite you to join me to say it. So this is what we call a release statement and an affirmation. And we usually pair these together. A lot of our prayer chaplains know the power of putting these two things together. I know several of us have been working on this. So I release fears of lack and limitation. I affirm God's infinite substance in every aspect of my life. I'm going to invite you to say this with me. I release fears of lack and limitation. I affirm God's infinite substance in every aspect of my life. Do we want to say that one more time?
Yes.
With a little bit more faith, a little bit more oomph. I release fears of lack and limitation. I affirm God's infinite substance in every aspect of my life. So I want to invite you to join us for the rest of our series this month. We will have a special guest speaker on our fourth Sunday. Serena D. Latchley will be joining us from the local Lyceum of the Sacred Tree. She is an interfaith minister. So in addition to our monthly series, from now until August, maybe September, we are inviting once a month interfaith speakers to come into our congregation and talk about where we find oneness, where we find unity in our overlapping understanding of things like love or God or whatever it is that connects us. The oneness. Where do we meet as one? So I invite you to come back next week. It will be Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. If I don't get a chance to tell you next Sunday, because I will not be here. I'm taking a day off. And so Bill Warner is going to join us, and he's going to talk a little bit about visioning. So thank you very much for joining us here today. And stay for our birthday Sunday, Healthy Snack Sunday, which will have snacks and things after service. Namaste.
Thank you, Melissa, for that wonderful message of growing our prosperity conscious. Now it's time to enter into generosity consciousness. Thank you to all who have continued blessing our spiritual community with your tithes and offerings. We are truly blessed by your giving. Now, if you feel led by Spirit to give today, we invite you to prepare your gift now. And if you're being led to make an online donation, you can use the convenient PayPal QR code or visit our website. So we now invite you to hold the thought of your gift in your mind and in your heart as we say our offering blessing together. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Amen. Okay, we have our music team to come up, and we're going to sing Relax, Let Go. And if you know it, sing it along with us.
I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. All is well, all is well, all is well. And every day I affirm and pray that I'm blessed with everything I have. I release my fear, 'cause it's all so clear. I am held, I am loved, I am safe. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I am well, I am well, I am well. And now I see what my life can be when I trust in the process and have faith. And now I know when I just let go, I have all I ever need. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. all is well, all is well. I am well.
Thank you, Unity Singers, and thank all of you for singing along. Thank you for being with us today, those who are here in person and those on Facebook Live as well.